Prime is essentially an AI-powered equity research platform, and it delivers real-time structured analysis on currently company updates and filings, but we're going to be broadening that out much more very soon. And as a starting point, our sort of vision and what we're trying to build here is the world's first AI-driven equity research provider. Primer surfaces research insights that are unique to each analyst coverage, and we do it automatically and in real time. So there's a speed element to it there, but it keeps analysts sort of constantly notified of what's going on relative to their coverage. And more so, we're trying to build a platform that's actually tailored to the individual analyst needs. We actually have given users the option to build custom reports within the platform to supplement the actual briefings that we have at the moment, and decide when they should run and which sources to track for their coverage.
A good part of our team would be analysts on the sell side and buy side, so we know what some of the pain points of financial analysts are. And really, one of them is you don't want to learn Excel from scratch. You don't want to have to learn how a new system works and having to log into a platform because you've already got so many things. And so the approach and the bet that we've made is actually fitting into an analyst's existing workflow. Reports or briefings, as we call them, that we deliver to people, we do so in their inbox. As analysts, you're stuck doing what we call maintenance research, and there's a lot that you do which is not what a human really is best at, which is having perfect recall over years of a company's history or listening to 15 earnings calls simultaneously. I can walk you through the platform. So this is one of primary reports that you would have got 10 minutes after JD Sports released their H1 2025 results. And really all of these reports are structured in a similar manner so that users get accustomed to them and just makes it easier to ingest the information. Color coding helps you throughout the report. So wherever you see blue, that's primer analysis. So that it sticks out and you can see what's the result of the model's reasoning. And anything else is what the company said. And so within minutes of the company releasing their earnings, Primer will start processing that, and you get this report which tells you straight away what's new and material relative to what you already knew. So because the more or less context of the entire company reporting history, it can straight away figure out what matters, what's new, what should you be looking at in this release. And then something that is possible only now is this financials table that takes all the KPIs from the report, all the performance indicators, and puts them in a tabular format, comparing them against consensus straight away. So normally you would have had to pay for a consensus aggregator to see what the market is thinking, manually reconcile numbers, and it's something that probably takes 15 minutes just to do that. Whereas now with AI, you can automate this process so that you're presented straight away with clean data that tells you, okay, this is what the company did, and this is how it stacks up versus consensus. Again, you get widgets throughout these reports, and one that I think is really cool is this Outlook one. And so what it's doing is it gives you all the information which is forward-looking, any outlook guidance that management may have given. But more importantly, it gives you an analysis of it. So this part in blue right here. And this is why I am showing this particular briefing, this particular primers report, is because we had feedback from our users back when this happened that was particularly positive, because really the company was quite sneaky in that they reiterated guidance. So they said the guidance is unchanged from our previous update. But actually, that guidance was now including an expected 25 million contribution from an acquisition, whereas previously it wasn't. And so underlying the forward-looking performance was a downgrade. So there was an implied profit downgrade that was quite difficult to spot because one would have had to read in the lines of prior reports and earnings calls. And actually, this is an example where I think 7 out of 8 sell-side brokers came out in the morning, 7:30, saying we expect the shares to be flat or up because they've reiterated guidance. But then actually shares opened down 3%, and then they closed the day down 10% as the market started to digest this piece of information and figured out that, in fact, it was a downgrade. So Primer doesn't tell you it's a buy, a hold, or a sell, right? But what it does is it surfaces this information to you within minutes of the release, so that then you can use it. And perhaps if it's a sell-side analyst, is to sense check their own work, and sell-side analysts don't have any research team, so this can be their research team to check things and make sure they haven't missed anything. But at the same time, it can be something that gives you a thread for a new idea, something that you can go do more work on, or something that that can perhaps even lead to an investment thesis and can help the buy side as well as the sell side equally.
Right.
I'll use this as an excuse to show the platform. So as you see, the format is quite similar, but you can consume this on our platform. And here it's richer because filings tend to be dry and they're regulatory disclosures, whereas with earnings calls you can really start to use LLMs and so large language models to dissect and analyze tone,
right,
sentiment, how that changed versus what they said last time. What is the narrative? Has that shifted? And so historically, this was impossible. And actually, a question that we get asked quite often is, well, actually, how can I see what Primer is using to making these inferences? How can I vet the veracity of all of this? And that's a quite common question in the industry in general. The way that we've gone about it is by giving users full transparency. So if you click on any piece of information in our reports, whether it's what the company said or our analysis, you can actually go and see what it is that went and informed that particular conclusion. And this will be the verbatim text from the actual transcript. So one can see for themselves and see if they agree or not. Tends to be quite powerful because then users don't have lingering doubts and can always check for themselves. Analysts in general don't want to be particularly pedantic towards management and annoy them, really. Whereas the model doesn't have this sort of manners. The model is not concerned with any of these things. And so it will point out anything that it finds, regardless of how that sounds, regardless of any social constraints, let's call it that.
So correct me if I'm wrong, it's inferring what the analyst thinks based on the phrasing of their question.
Completely, yeah. And how that's changed relative to what they were focusing on in the past, and whether that's one call ago or 3 calls ago.
Right.
Yeah. Something that is only now possible with AI is AI read across. So if we take an actual example here, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago perhaps, Interpublic released their results, and some of our clients who were not following this company received this report regardless. And the reason why that happened is because Primer realized, okay, this company has put out an update, and in this particular case, I've made this analysis and realized that the outlook has deteriorated versus what they were previously saying. Therefore, this can be systemic, this can be relevant to some of the peers of the company. And therefore, you're going to be receiving this email. And in this particular case, if we take WPP, which is a UK listed company, they finished the day down 2% with a lag versus actually Interpublic coming out. And over the course of the next 2 weeks, I think they were down, I don't want to say something stupid, but I think 10 or 20% over the next couple of weeks. So these sort of updates, this sort of read across are not only short-term signals, but it's about presenting you with information that can help you with your medium-term or even long-term thesis about a stock that it's really hard for a human analyst to be on top of everything. It's the first time that we can use AI to really make this possible.
You can only test so many ideas, right?
Completely, yeah. There's always threads and trends that span across different companies, and
yeah, you can only pull on so many.
Yeah, if one affects a stock in a particular manner, whether it's positive or negative, it may well affect related stocks or stocks which are affected by the same trends, albeit with a lag, but it will at some point if it's something that spans across companies. And to tie it back to the AI disruption report that we've put together, what we've realized is, okay, these briefings are paramount to our offering, and we can actually build on top of those ones. But the foundations that we have that allow us to produce these can be utilized to produce all sorts of reports. And so the direction that we're taking now, what we're going next, is to build in partnership with some of our early clients to produce reports which are tailored to them. So an analyst may say, well, actually, I have this particular definition of cash flow for this company, and I want a report that gives me that anytime they report, and I want to get that on a consistent basis. What informs the disruption report is specifically its knowledge of the companies and their peers. Historically, in the financial industry, you have these sector classifications that encompass many companies that have very little to do with each other in some cases. I think you can have Uber as a industrial, right? So it would come up next to Honeywell, perhaps. From my experience, everyone ends up building their own set of peers. And of course, they're limited to a few companies that they know really, really well. But now with AI, what we can do is we can create a custom set of peers for every company. So if we have 2,000 companies, it's for 2,000 companies for each of their divisions. Because, of course, you can have different divisions that do different things, and they may have different competitors. And so this is the first time that you can have this way of looking at competition. It's never been possible before at scale like this.